Welcome back to the latest instalment of Tom and Levi's Notepod. Today we're going to discuss difficulty in video games, and today we're going to be joined by a very special guest, Meggiecat. Welcome, Meggie.
Hello.
For anybody who doesn't know, Meggiecat is a fellow YouTuber. She's been following us from, again, not day one, but you've been close. And she makes lots of content that you guys should check out, and we like having you on. You've been a part of our community for a little while, so we thank you for constantly supporting us, Meggie.
Aw, thank you. I'm very, very happy to be here. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
I can't argue with that. But yeah, today we're going to talk about just difficulty in video games, and this isn't necessarily hard games, it's also like games that are too easy, too dumbed down. But the first question I want to ask you guys is like, what makes a game hard for you, and what are your experiences of like what you find hardest in a video game?
Well, I think that difficulty in games is split into either two things. It's either a game is difficult because it's just unfair, or it's difficult because it's meant to be. It's technically just there to challenge you. Like, you get unfair games and it's just bullshit because the controller doesn't work the way it should, or something like that.
Oh, so you feel like some difficulty is like a detriment to like the game design, and it's not designed to be this hard, but the game is making it so inadvertently.
Yes, yeah, I do. Like, sometimes you'll have like, I don't know, like a platform that won't clip correctly with your character, and you just fall through it. Like when we played Spider-Man, you just swung over to a building and hit it at a weird angle.
Oh yeah,
and that was it, and you just died.
Yeah,
and like that, I guess that counts as the game being hard because you can't progress without.
But like, yeah, I mean, we could also because then we can talk about like how a game's just got like poor hit detection. You talk about games that are buggy that can like make a game difficult for no reason. I remember playing Matrix. Is it the one with Neo? It's not Enter the Matrix. It's like the Path of Neo. And there's this the thing about that game is that it's so hard to jump platforms purely because the game is bad at doing it and implementing like the platforming section of the game. So you just kind of fucking die for no reason other than the game's just not letting you. It's not difficult per se if it worked. The only reason it's difficult is because it's like implemented poorly.
Yeah. That's so frustrating when that happens.
Well, I think like again, like what I was saying, on the other end of the scale, there's games that they challenge you because you're at the very end of the game. You've had a whole couple of hours or whatever to get good at the game, and if you're not good at it, tough. You should have been.
Yeah,
so here's a
sometimes,
challenge.
well, again, that's like usually up to the way the game's made because of like the learning curve. There should be like a point at which when you start the game, you wouldn't be able to just go straight to the boss, but as you grow and learn skills, etc., you eventually become better, or just through trials and tribulations, you learn to play the game by its rules, by the game's rules.
One thing I find quite difficult about video games myself is when the game forces you to play a certain way and you're not used to that way of playing. For example, my boyfriend bought me Dishonored for Christmas, and as you know, Dishonored punishes you for not being stealthy. If you kill enemies, then you get the worst possible ending, which as a gamer you don't want to get. But the way to get the good ending is to play stealthy and to not kill anyone. And I found myself getting really, really frustrated because I just physically could not I kept getting caught. I had to keep reloading, and in the end I actually ended up like playing from a walkthrough because I just could not continue on with the game, and I was determined to finish it because it was bought for me. But I found that made it very like not enjoyable.
Yeah, sometimes like branching storylines don't help a game because sometimes you get those games that are like, oh, you have to do you clearly working towards a good ending, or you're clearly working towards a bad ending, but you really want the good ending, but it's so difficult. You'd feel like
exactly
there's absolutely no need that should have been implemented, and that you shouldn't be. You get like it becomes a brutal game for no reason other than it serves the story to be, play it at an incredibly difficult game for no reason.
Exactly. I mean, I found it really annoying the fact that you would get the worst possible ending if you could not play to the game standards. I mean, I just didn't think that was very fair, honestly.
Yeah.
Personally,
what if it's like it's a challenge and you get rewarded by having a good ending? Is that not part of the game being hard? That it's the challenge and the reward.
Yeah. I mean, I've played Dishonored and I've completed it without killing anyone, but I found it a lot, but it was almost like a cathartic experience when I went through my second playthrough and just fucking killed everybody, because it's like knowing that you can, because there's that outlet, because there's
letting out all of that rage,
and there is a challenge.
I don't have to be stealthy anymore.
Yeah, about Dishonored, there is like a challenge there, and it is a good challenge. But sometimes, like say maybe Metal Gear.
If you suck at video games like me.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm like if I think of like difficulty, I think of like I played Metal Gear Solid for the second time a few weeks ago, and I wasn't looking to get like S rank in all of the missions, but what can happen is you can get caught, but it's not abandoned mission. You shoot your way out, you find like a way to run away, you become stealthy again, and you can still get like a good grade. Like the game can still continue. I'm not constantly going, oh well, I guess I'll have to go back to the checkpoint because I want to get this perfect thing. The thing about some games is that they lead you in such a way that, like Dishonored for example, and I love Dishonored, but I totally agree with your point, is that I'm constantly thinking, I'm going to have to go back to this whole area because that guy came and I had to shoot that guy, and now I want to have to go back just because I know what the story is implying is going to happen. Because on my second playthrough, the game actually becomes slightly harder when you are bad as well, because it's all centered around this plague in the story of Dishonored. So levels become more dilapidated, and there's more rats, which are pesky things that you have to kill, and then that becomes like a challenge. And it's weird when games try and shift to that. It's a kind of weird way of implementing it. I feel like that doesn't help the difficulty. It doesn't make it a fun challenge. You don't want to take up the challenge. You feel like you're forced to. There's a lack of choice there, which I think is a hurdle.
I mean, I like a good challenge in a video game. I just felt with Dishonored, it was kind of forced upon you. Yeah. So you were forced to play this way if you wanted little Emily to grow up not insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of like story elements that are part of it, and that sometimes that can take away from the game when you feel like you have to play this kind of way because the story's dictating it. So it's adding its own unnecessary challenge.
Exactly.
I'd like to ask a question. What game did you play or have you played and you've just got stuck on it so much? You got so stuck that you've just left it for like months or sometimes years and then gone back to it.
I played. I remember on the Xbox 360 there was a video game for Afro Samurai, which was based on the anime with Samuel Jackson. It's a really cool stylized kind of thing. I picked up the game for a fiver or something like that, and it's like just it's a typical hack and slash kind of game. And at first, I was completely at odds with the game. It was just so difficult because I didn't quite understand the combos. But then I started picking it up, and I was like, okay. And then after a while, I gradually started to understand like how the mechanics of the game work. It wasn't a perfect game, but I kind of played by its rules, and it was getting better. And then right at the end of the game was this level with the main baddie, who's called like Justice, I think, and it was just so impossible that it was just like it kind of made every other part of the game kind of null and void. Like I'm not going to get like this. And what the problem with going back, as you mentioned, was that I'd forgotten how to play. So it made it 10 times more difficult because I was
go
trying.
Up that learning curve again.
I suddenly have to remember a plethora of combos that I had that would help me, and it was just nigh on impossible. And the only form of cover were these like dilapidated trees in this wasteland level, and it was just so impossible. It's like sometimes playing a game is like learning a language, and if you forget it, then you have to start completely back to basics, and then by the time you're at a difficult point in the game, it's basically a write-off.
I got stuck on Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time for about 3 years. I was only like I was only about 8 or 9 years old when I got it, so I couldn't quite get my head around it. I'd never played a Zelda game before, and I started playing it, and if I'd paid attention, I would know exactly what I was doing. I would know where to go. But I was a kid.
At least you didn't start. At least you didn't start on Majora's Mask. Imagine how that would have gone down.
I think I did actually, and I was just so terrified by the big moon.
But I feel like
I don't blame you.
If I can change the subject and change it to the other side of the spectrum, because we're talking about Zelda, you think sometimes an experience isn't designed to be hard in gaming, and sometimes the emphasis is it's easy, but it's the experience that you're going on. So you were talking about Zelda, but I was thinking of games. I was thinking maybe like Wind Waker, because in hindsight, Wind Waker's not really a difficult Zelda, is it? And I feel like that's more about it's easy because it's the type of game that it is. It's colourful, it's bright.
It's accessible.
The difficulty is acceptable.
Well, you make a good point there. Like, just as like we're talking about games that are hard, like some games are really easy.
Yeah, and sometimes
there's no fun.
Well, sometimes it is and it isn't. I feel like Wind Waker is a good example of how it can be fun, because there's a lot in the game to do. You're filling your time. It's not necessarily a challenge per se, but you're intrigued by what it presents, and the way it's presented is important, and just because it's easy doesn't mean that it's not fun to play. There are certain games where you can just breeze through, but because it's quite shallow on features and stuff, it's just walking through doors and doors of stuff that's not quite fun. It's the puzzle aspect of games like Wind Waker that keep it... It's not difficult puzzles, but you're still learning and you're taking your time to experience this world and stuff like that. And that's kind of an example of how easy games are good. They're not always the thing that people scoff at, you know? You get super... Because people have a go at casual saying, yeah, you've played Wind Waker, but you need to play this Zelda because this is like the ultimate hard. You don't get it. Sometimes it's nice when you can go, I don't know, man, I played Wind Waker and I was just like, I was a kid. It was my entrance into like this series of games. Like, it was nice because it was easy, and then I grew to play the harder Zeldas because of how much I loved the game.
Well, it's nice. It's nostalgic. I have to add though, there's easy games and that keep it fun and interesting, but then there's the games where they just hold your hand the whole way through, and I find that patronizing as a player, actually. Especially, I think it's Skyward Sword has on the side of the screen, it has like the Wii remote, and I'm like, dude, like,
are you holding the Wii remote correctly?
Like, the people who've been playing Zelda, I mean, there's going to be people whose first game will be Skyward Sword, but if you're a seasoned Zelda player, such as if you've been playing Ocarina of Time, if that was your first one, or Wind Waker, you're gonna kind of know what to do. Yeah. So to have the Wiimote just plastered on the side, like, yeah, don't forget to do this, and having your little companion pop up and every 5 seconds going, oh, don't forget to do this, and it's like,
it's insulting, okay. Isn't it? It's like
just
sometimes it's
bit.
A little bit. I feel like the game's talking down to you when it's that easy, but just as insulting as it is if a game is too easy, it's insulting if it's too hard as well.
Yeah,
like, oh, I'm not good. Oh, I'm too good.
I think Meggie made a good point, because there was this period of, I think, especially for me in like the PS3, Xbox 360 generation of games, there's really this period of easy games with like really, really dumbed down tutorials.
The casual gamer became more of a thing. The Wii came along, loads of people got into games again. Like,
you'd always have like, there was a point where games weren't just, if you move the right stick, you move the camera. Press the left stick and move it around to move your character. I was like, this is what you do. It's like what Aaron Hansen's talked about on his sequelitis, is that you get it as you go. As you learn to do it, you'll press buttons and you will pick it up. Anybody who picks up a game, even a casual, quote-unquote, doing severe air quotes here, would be able to understand. Certainly there's games where you need to be filled in, but you can tell when you get the really obvious ones, it feels like almost too handholdy, like, dude, we are, we're not idiots.
I mean, do you think part of that is down to the fact that there was a lot of us as kids who, I mean, one of my first proper video games was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and back then, you just picked up the controller and you played, and I mean, I got stuck on like the temples for months at a time because you didn't have no walkthroughs, you just had to power through and everything. I mean, but nowadays, I wonder if maybe it's like they dumb it down for people who that haven't played games as long, maybe. I don't know. I know what I'm trying to say.
Well, the thing is, I mean, my first experience was like the PS1 era, so Crash Bandicoot was one of the first games I played, and it's one of, Tom and I have played it, we've even streamed it, and it's bloody difficult. It's incredibly difficult.
Hard, yeah.
But the thing is,
the argument that like games, it wasn't this hard when I played it as a kid. It's like, yeah, it was.
Well, yeah, it was. Well, yeah. But my point is that the control scheme for Crash Bandicoot is simple in that it will give you a few button controllers. You go. It's difficult, but it's also simple in its design. And that was a difficult game, and it made sense. It was not like, it's not holding your hand per se. After that, you are at the mercy of the game, and the game is still fair, because there is unfair difficulty, but that game is fair in its difficulty. I know it sounds crazy, but you know everything going straight out, and then you just go, and then from there on, you're at the mercy of the game.
I quite respect games that can do that. I mean, like look at Cuphead, for example. They give you a quick tutorial and then bam, off you go. Like I kind of respect games that can do that nowadays without saying, "Oh, click the control stick to move right or to move
and they
left."
give you 5 levels that introduce every aspect of the game. Cuphead, it's a tutorial. You use the finger bang bang. You jump like this. You crouch. You do that. You can jump over obstacles. Here's a little glide thing. Okay, by the way, here's the game, and then you're in the game. Like you said, it's not going like here's tutorial level number 7, and here's how we jump, and it's that kind of thing. And what I like is we've kind of ushered into a new period of kind of difficulty in games. I mean, look at the Souls. Obviously, the Souls series has been a massive hit. It's been a popular game. Bloodborne, various spin-offs or different kinds of games that take that into consideration. Even is it Assassin's Creed Origins, the latest one, that uses a similar combat style because of how popular it was. Of course, it's not as difficult, but those kind of games, they don't hold your hand and you learn as you go, and people are now learning that games can be this way. It's a weird reminder of what games used to be, but I hope that we find a healthy middle between incredibly hard games like Dark Souls and just between that really easy press X to jump kind of tutorials, and that we find a healthy middle where we can just learn as gamers.
Yeah.
I think that Mario Odyssey gets difficulty really, really well done. That doesn't make much sense.
No, I agree. That the what happens is you're in Super Mario Odyssey, you're constantly getting power moons. They're always around, but then the goal is to find all of them, and then the level of challenge is up to you as to how you can achieve these. And I really like that. Is it after you complete the main story, you get different power moons? It's like, guess what? You've been getting power moons like it's like it's easy. Well, here's a few more that we think might actually...
Yeah, it did it well because it was so accessible for the younger audience, which is their main draw, I guess. But like for people who appreciate the series and have been fans for years, it's refreshing. It's nice to feel like you're challenged by a kids game again.
Yeah, exactly. Like the kids aren't gonna do those power moons, and that's okay. No kid is gonna like... Unless they're amazing, it caters to everybody, doesn't it? That level, Mario caters to everybody. People who are purists who want to get every power moon, and then the kids who just want to breeze through the story, get X amount of power moons, do everything, defeat Bowser, etc., etc., etc. But everybody gets their own fill from it,
And that's why Mario is awesome.
And that's why we love Mario. Thank you.
Well, Mario did get a lot of criticism back in the day with the new Super Mario games for being too easy.
Yeah.
Because they were just... There was no real challenge. I can remember, I played that game a lot. I used to be able to just complete it within a day. It wasn't that hard, and you could just breeze through it.
Which again comes back to the Wii era of sort of easy games.
Yeah. Which was, I guess, relating to the audience. It's insulting to the hardcore gamer, but to the casual gamer, maybe that's what they needed or wanted.
Again, maybe we just need this array of products on the spectrum and just put them in a little area and just... It's easy, but people will buy easy. It's hard, and people will buy hard.
The more we discuss this, I think developers have got it really hard, haven't they? Because to try and find that middle
I'm
ground.
not saying there's a key, like a perfect chemistry to it all. I mean, it's clearly a difficult thing, ironically.
It's not a deal breaker. a hard game isn't going to... Because a game's hard doesn't mean it's not going to sell.
No.
Oh God, no.
There are still, who is it? From Software are going to continue making games that are difficult. They're not going to bring out the next Super Mario Odyssey. They're going to continue to make those kind of games, and people who like those games will keep buying them. There are, I feel like gaming as a whole is a niche still anyway, despite its popularity. People are going to find niches within niches. So I feel
exactly. Well, you get the kind of people that prefer to have these easy, casual games, and then you have people who I think actively seek out difficult games because they like the challenge. I mean, you only have to look on YouTube and Twitch to watch people. I mean, look at when Cuphead came out. How many people were streaming and playing that just because it had become notorious for its difficulty? It's like people who go on roller coasters just for thrills. Like I feel like people will actively go and search out these difficult games just for the challenge, and I think that's kind of awesome.
Right. That's why like achievements were such a big thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it was like, oh, I have a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah.
Doing this.
So you should for playing
Tom says
those
that
hardest,
whenever an
difficult
achievement
games.
pops. Tom says that every time. Wow, I felt a sense of achievement, and now I have gained said achievement. Thank you, game.
Yeah, but like, I don't know if it's not. It's definitely been a whole. It's been a thing for a long time that kind of, oh, I want to 100% this game. Like, it's been before achievements were like a public thing. There was always challenges that people would set themselves to complete a game. What was the first game you completed?
Spider-Man on the PlayStation 1.
Yeah?
And the thing is, I mean, Tom and I played this. I played it on easy, but I used to play it on like the normal difficulty. And when I was a kid, that was hard for me. And it kind of goes back to like the personal degree of difficulty. I mean, you know when you go on a forum and you're finding something really difficult and you want to look at kind of a walkthrough, and you ask and you say, oh, what do people think of boss level 3? You're always going to get that one guy's like, it was pretty easy, yeah, like, you know, it was just easy for me. I don't know why people saying they played it like 10 times, I did it first try. And it's about people's degrees. Well, yeah, it's either that or maybe they really do find it easy and other people find it difficult. It's about, again, that's where we talk about game developers probably have it pretty hard because it's hard to find a balance.
I mean, gamers are incredibly hard to impress nowadays.
Oh yeah, I mean, just anybody impressing anybody these days. But that's why we talk about it, which is in a healthy medium.
I think the first game I ever 100% completed, and don't laugh at me, I think it was Kirby 64 was the first game I ever 100% completed.
Why do you laugh at that?
That's awesome.
That's all right.
Kirby games are the greatest. Tom and I played the
games.
demo of one of the Switch versions, and it was great.
I love Kirby.
It's great because it's like. It's so friendly and happy. It's lovely.
Yeah, why Kirby is the Dark Souls of Nintendo 64. You're not going to get that, and that's it. Some games you're going to play, like, you're going to play with your nephew or your niece, you know? And that's okay. And you're having fun because they're having fun. It's about gauging it, and Tom made a really good point about Odyssey. That is the kind of thing you want. Having these additional challenges that don't need to be touched, that can still be a part of a fun game, you know?
Exactly.
And then you create the challenges
the game
for
is
yourself.
offering that to you.
Yeah, no one's telling you have to get all the power moons. That's on you, man. So you're making that conscious choice for that challenge.
And that's awesome.
It was also, and I just wanna finish on. Do we sometimes think that like we confuse a time-consuming activity for difficulty? Do you ever feel like sometimes it's just a war of attrition where you're just spending so much time, say, defeating a boss with a massive health level, and it's not necessarily hard, but it's just like a time-consuming ordeal?
Yeah, like grinding in any MMO.
Yeah. Think of any JRPG.
I don't enjoy that. Some people love
Pokemon
that.
training.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily
right.
any game where you have to be a certain level to beat someone, and then you're just spending ages walking around and wasting your time trying to do it. And it's not difficult, but it's taking a hell of a lot of time.
Literally, Pokemon Soul Silver stole so many weeks of my life, like trying to defeat the final champion on that, and I was grinding my levels so much, and it just took forever.
I was like that when I was like playing the original. Me and my brother were trying to beat the champion for years, and then he finally did it, and he cried.
Just pure tears of adulation.
It was, because it was like, yeah, that was difficult, but I did it. I beat it using my Pokemon.
And that's what gaming is all about. Like, once you finish the game and you did all of that yourself, like, okay, you kind of cheated if you used a walkthrough a little bit. I hold my hands up to that. But like when you finish a game and you're like, damn, I did that, and then that sense of pride and accomplishment that's why I love gaming.
It's like you've somehow scaled this mental brick wall because you've just like been You've been going insane doing the same thing over and over again, and then you just find that will to just like, sometimes I have to just disappear, like Tom said, of like, have you ever played a game and you come back to it? Sometimes it's just like a lunch break. I've come back, I've made a sandwich, a cup of tea.
You just need a bit of fresh air.
My hands aren't as clammy. My hands, I've had some like, I've washed it with soap.
We've done that. We did
Yeah.
it with like a shovel night or something. We went to go get a McDonald's because we were so pissed off with something.
Tom was livid. I could see it as well, so I was like, okay, this is going to be our last part.
Because you're hungry, it makes it even worse as well. It's
Tom's-
like, let's just go.
I've done
Tom's
that with
like-
bending. I've done that with bending the ink machine. I had to pause it and I had to go and like make myself lunch, and I was like, right, we're gonna come back. We're gonna defeat it. It's gonna be fine.
Sometimes I look in Tom's eyes and I can just see a big tasty with bacon. I could just see the point where he's just going, look, I'm angry, I want food, I just want to,
Can I get a wrap of the day as well, please? Wrap of the day. Yeah.
Tom's doubling up, But the thing is, and that's where we talk about healthy difficulty in games. You're like, look, I know I can do this. I know I can do. I know exactly what to do here. I just need a minute. I'm not in the right place. And I've certainly done that. I think I don't play a lot of online games, but Tom knows that I play quite a lot of football games. I play them quite a lot as like my pick-me-up kind of thing. And I used to play it online, and I used to just get so angry, and I would just look outside myself for a second and just think, I'm playing a video game. I'm on my own, in my shorts, playing a video game. And then I walk away, and then I come back, and then I either do something else, or I just play and be like, it's a game. Whatever happens, happens. And if I win, I win. I will eventually achieve what I wanted to achieve, and that's
It's
like...
easy to get sucked into it though, isn't it? And you really do. You have to like remove yourself from it and go, right, okay, like we need to just cool down.
You're sat in there, and you have to be
try
the bigger
again.
person. You're with yourself, and you're like, look, I have to be the one to step away here. Gaming Levi needs to just look. I'm having a word. I'm having a word with Gaming Levi, and he's going to be like, look. Let's just leave it. And then I do. Sometimes I do. Maybe it's when I finally raise my voice and I go, whoa, I need to step back.
Whoa, I need to calm down.
What happened there? Where did he go? And then I just walk away, make tea, come back, and then... That's the magic of gaming. That's when challenge is perfect, because you know what to do. It's Bayonetta. I have to dodge perfectly. I have to make sure I've done this bullet dodge, and then I find it. I find where I need to go. Boom, I'm done. Everything's perfect. And that's it. That's the magic of difficulty in video gaming. I think we can all agree on that. Is that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's a nice way to sum it up.
Yeah. And so that kind of brings an end to the latest episode of the Notepod. Thank you so much, Meggiecat, for joining us.
Yes, thank you. It's been a welcome treat.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very, very much for having me.
And where are we to find you if we wanted to get some good Meggiecat goodness?
You can find me on YouTube. I'm sure they'll provide a link.
Yeah, we'll throw a link down there.
And I'm also on Twitch and Instagram if anyone wants to follow me there as well, but mainly YouTube.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. I especially recommend her Let's Play of Alice Madness Returns. It's a game I think we both love, and it's certainly a ride, and it has ups, downs, all sorts of emotional
raging.
trauma.
I mean, this is a good example of video game difficulty. Much raging.
Yeah, she's perfectly epitomised difficulty in video gaming. But yeah, that brings it to an end. We'll catch you on the next episode. Au revoir and goodbye.
Thanks for joining.
Bye.